We're live. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Kenton County School District Virtual Town Hall. I'm Jess Dykes. I'm the Director of Public Information and Community Engagement. Today's Town Hall will last from 4 to 5:30, and this will be taped for those that can't join us. Without further ado, it's my honor to welcome and introduce our Superintendent, Dr. Henry Webb.
Thanks, Jess. And we want to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon. The first thing I want to do is introduce our guest with us today. We have Ms. Shauna Hardy. Shauna is our Chief Academic Officer. We have Mr. Rob Haney. Rob is our Chief Operations Officer. We have Ms. Paula Russ. Paula is our Director of Health Services. Before we get started today, I just want to take a moment to say a few words to you. First, let me say a special thank you to our public health officials, both state and local, for their tremendous support. And then to you, Team Kenton and our extended family, we cannot thank you enough for your continued support, patience, and flexibility during this unprecedented time. We understand that this is a very difficult time for everyone. There's lots of challenges, lots of opportunities, but we believe it is a beautiful day in KCSD because we have an amazing team and amazing community willing to do incredible things for our kids. So this afternoon, we hope we can take a few moments and answer some questions that you have regarding our reentry guidance plan for the 2021 school year. So with that said, we'll jump straight into our questions. Jess Dykes is going to moderate for us, and our panel is going to answer your questions that you submitted, and we will try to get to as many questions as we can. And please know that all questions will also be answered in our FAQ document on our website. So with that being said, Jess, let's go ahead and get started.
All right, the first question. With the planned rotational model, what can teachers and parents do about childcare?
Thanks, Jess. So let me also say that if you do not hear your questions specifically asked tonight, please know that we did group like questions because there were similar questions that were submitted. And this was one of those questions. Once again, we understand that childcare is a tremendous issue for our community. So we believe that the models that we've selected best meet the needs that we can provide for our community while also following the guidance document. The students being in school P3, the rotational model, all help with childcare issues. While our district at this time is working on possible options for our staff and community for some childcare assistance, there will be more information coming on that very soon. Please know that we do completely understand the childcare issues that we will have with an AB rotational model. Hopefully, in the near future, we will be able to bring all of our kids back to school in person. But until then, because of state and local health public officials' guidance, we will be forced to do an AB rotational model. We'll talk more about capacity as we move through the document.
The next question, will the district be changing the amount of allowed sick days?
So no, the district will not be providing any additional sick days for staff. However, last night, our Board of Education approved utilizing extended emergency days for staff that is quarantined by a state agency. So any staff member that is quarantined by a state agency will have the advantage of will be able to take advantage of additional emergency days. And for more information about that, you can contact the Human Resources Department if you find yourself in that situation.
The next question, do teachers have a say or another option if they are uncomfortable being recorded?
So the synchronous model is the option that we have made decisions around in terms of instruction. And that model really allows for delivery of instruction to be on a continual basis with also flexibility for those at home. We know that there's going to need to be ongoing training. We've actually started that training this week for teachers, and that will continue to be a process throughout our entire school year to support in a systemic way this synchronous model for our teachers, as well as providing resources, FAQs, and tutorials for parents. Those are actually already on our website as we speak. The synchronous instructional model is really defined and outlined on page 5 and 12 of our guidance document. We are constantly referencing that. And that really just provides daily check-ins for both teachers and students, tasks from all students to help with that instructional flow, as well as just providing that connection between peers and teachers. We learned a lot through the spring last year, and this will allow for those who are choosing that model to have that connection of continual learning. We know that every day is going to look different based on the scope and sequence of the lesson and the instructional flow there, but there will be a portion where direct instruction is recorded, and there will be times of the instructional flow where there will not be recorded instruction. So the more that we get into instruction, the more teachers will have a flow of what that looks like and sounds like, as well as providing that schedule to parents who are choosing that option from home.
How will the mental health needs of teachers be supported as they work to follow COVID guidelines?
We know our teachers and all of our staff are working very hard, and we thank you for your amazing efforts for our kids, and we thank you for the incredible work you're going to do during the 2021 school year for our kids. Our district has the Employee Assistance Plan, which is known as the EAP, and if you need more assistance or guidance or information on our EAP program, please contact our Human Resources Office.
How will you meet the needs of special education with the synchronous rotational model?
So again, the synchronous model will be an instructional model to continue learning through home, through technology. So the services of an IEP will be implemented, that will be aligned to the IEP, related services. I know schools are having ARCs right now to determine individual needs that best meet that particular student and that plan. But essentially, if a child is participating in synchronous instruction from home, they will receive a schedule from the school. And obviously, we know there's a lot of flexibility and extenuating circumstances to work through. But the parent at home of the child will know the schedule and will know when specially designed instruction is taking place through the resource setting. As far as related services, there will be a schedule provided, and you will be implementing that through the use of technology in your home setting.
If we do end up going completely virtual at some point, can we please be allowed in our classrooms to present virtual lessons from there?
So great question. If we are forced or recommended for closure for NTI long-term closures, then yes, it would be our goal to allow all of our staff to access their classrooms, workspace to operate as efficiently as possible. So we would be able to provide instruction from our normal workspace. However, if we are directed not to be able to do that, we will have to adjust accordingly.
What is the communication plan expectation from administrators district moving forward? The lack of communication has been appalling. KCSD needs to be more transparent with its teachers moving forward.
So thank you for the comments. I regret that any member of our team feels like that our communication has not been effective. We have continually emailed, created videos, had updated guidance documents on our website. We have a COVID-19 link on our website. We have social media. We have weekly meetings with leadership teams in our district to include KCEA members. So we've done a great deal to try to make sure we effectively communicate. However, we understand the importance of communication, and we are always working to improve. And this is an area we will continue to try to improve. Another very good question. We always encourage breaks throughout the day. We understand the importance of physical breaks. So yes, we will be encouraging breaks throughout the day, especially for those students who do not get recess.
Please explain to me why it wasn't safe for my child to go to school in March when there were 80 to 100 cases a day of the COVID virus, but it is now safe for my child to go to school when there are 400 to 500 new cases reported
So we are currently following all guidance from state and local public health officials. I understand the question, and it is a very good question. However, our goal is to mitigate the risk for our students and staff. The guidance we've received from state and local health officials enables us to do that. As long as we are committed, and we all are committed to following our guidance, we will be able to mitigate the risk. So that following the guidance from our state and local health officials that is now designed and that we have put out to all of our schools enables us to re-enter school for in-person learning in the fall.
Will there be plexiglass partitions at all desks in the classrooms? I know Indiana schools are doing this.
Not at this time. Currently, the options we are pursuing are the guidance for social distancing in the classrooms, which is a minimum of 6 feet apart at all times. And that is the guidance we are pursuing, and we are not utilizing plexiglass.
What happens if child staff member tests positive for COVID?
I urge everyone again to look at our guidance document. Page 7 starts the health and safety segment. In that, you will see what we call a KCSD COVID-19 decision tree. You will click on that link. You will find anything that's in blue font in our guidance document has a connection to a live link. And that provides the decision tree that we will use that maps out all the scenarios for students with symptoms, without symptoms, whether or not they're positive or asymptomatic in positive cases. So again, as Dr. Webb referenced, our COVID page on the district's website also has a link to that decision tree where you can find that information.
How will contact COVID tracing be handled in school? Lots of asymptomatic cases, especially in youth. Are we tracking who enters classrooms?
So the COVID contact tracing will all be done by the health department. They will be alerted to any positive cases, and they will contact us if the need would arise. Again, we're also asking parents and staff to let us know if they have any positive cases. But we are tracking who enters the classrooms. We are also tracking the seating assignments of the classrooms, our buses, cafeterias. Anytime students are gathered, we will have rosters that will be able to assist in any contact tracing needs. And again, if we adhere to social distancing and wearing masks when they're required, we won't have to worry about, self-quarantining.
Numerous studies indicate it is essentially dangerous to a child's health to wear a mask an entire day. What research is the school system following for kids to wear one all day, aside from the CDC?
So once again, the school district is following guidance from state and local public health officials. And just a reminder, as Paula just outlined, when students and staff are stationary, exercising social distancing, which is 6 feet apart or more, masks can be lowered.
What type of masks are kids allowed to wear? I've heard they can't wear the gaiters or tie masks.
So on page 8 of our guidance document in the health and safety section, we have essentially reiterated what the Kentucky Department of Education told us what a mask should contain. It can have ties or ear loops. The question of gaiters has been brought up quite frequently, and they will be permitted. But again, we are ideally saying that all masks should be multiple layers, so at least 2 or more layers is recommended.
Will all six students and teachers need a doctor note to return?
So our decision tree does state that a doctor's note is required. We will just follow the guidelines of the decision tree, meeting the criteria of what symptoms they have and what they would be considered recovered.
What will the protocol be if a family within the district travels to a travel advisory state?
So the governor has recommended self-quarantine for individuals who visit one of the states that's deemed to be of high positivity rates in testing. I think 15% is the number. So we are also recommending self-quarantine, being in line and congruent with the governor's recommendation. I would ask that all of our students, staff, and families, please take that into consideration. Our first day of classes is the 24th, and obviously, as much as possible, we would ask that you not travel to those states before school starts. And if you have to, we would recommend that you self-quarantine.
Curious how you'll spend the death of a teacher. Will they be a hero lauded for their commitment to the students? I'm just looking for a little guidance as to what I should tell my son if his mom dies.
We are following all the guidance from state and local health officials. I would tell everyone watching this video that nothing matters more to me, our team, our Board of Education, than our staff, our students, our families, and our community. We believe that we're mitigating risk as outlined in the guidance documents. Therefore, we will follow that guidance and we will return to in-person classes per the guidance unless that guidance changes.
What are the night daily cleaning protocols?
All of the facility cleaning guidelines are listed in the guidance document on page 25. There's a whole host of procedures that we intend to follow throughout the day and evening. I won't read all of those points, but I'd like to highlight a couple of things. The products that we intend to utilize are products that we have been using for years. We use the same products every year for flu. In the wintertime, when we have a spike in certain school buildings, we will do intensive deep cleaning. The products are the same in response to COVID, and they are listed on the EPA website. But Oxivir will be utilized during the day. This is a hospital-grade cleaning product, and we will use Virex in the evening by our evening staff. Both of these were selected because of the kill rate of the virus upon contact. So, but for further information about the cleaning guidelines, please refer to our guidance document, page 25, under facilities.
Why is it still being presented that masks are only required during transitions? The governor's mandate clearly states that when inside of any building, masks are required to be worn by all individuals aged 6 and up.
So the guidance we've received from state public health officials indicates that that requirement does not apply to school settings when students or staff are in school buildings 6 feet apart or more, and stationary, mask can be lowered.
Will classrooms be completely sanitized between class periods by custodial staff?
So state health state recommendations are that all staff in Kentucky be trained in cleaning protocols. We understand the size of our district, the number of kids we have, the number of staff we have in our buildings. So it is critical that all of us roll up our sleeves and work as a team to make sure that we clean classes adequately between class changes or when students move throughout the building. So yes, we will have trainings, and yes, we will be asking all staff to participate in cleaning throughout the district.
Is there a threshold for symptomatic students or confirmed COVID cases which would result in closures? Will this occur by classroom or school, and how may this affect busing?
So we will monitor frequently the situation in all models when school starts. It is possible that a classroom may close, a school may close, a district may close, whether it be here in our school district or across the state. But in our district, we will monitor everything frequently. We will have consistent communication with local health officials, and we will make decisions accordingly based on recommendations from health officials and the information that we have gathered.
Health officials recommend that recirculating air be avoided in buildings. Fresh air should be brought in whenever possible. What is the district doing to update the HVAC and air filtration systems in our school buildings?
Once again, I will refer everyone to the guidance document under the facilities section, page 26. indoor air quality is addressed. And we pulled information from the American Society of Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Engineers, as well as the Department of Education's consideration for facilities reopening. And you can see the points that are listed there. We will be increasing the frequency of classroom filter changes. We will increase the ventilation rates when weather permits. Obviously, we cannot do that when the high humidity levels are present. So we will do that when we can. We will also maintain recommended temperature ranges between 68 and 78 degrees where possible. We will maintain recommended humidity ranges between 40% and 60% where possible. And this is a big point. All HVAC systems will operate a minimum of 2 hours before and after occupancy at peak outside air rate to flush the building when possible. So those are the points that will address this question. And again, they're listed on page 26 under the facilities section on the guidance document.
Explain why the AB rotational model was chosen.
So great question. There were several questions around the rotational model chosen. A little later on, there's a question about exact percents for some questions in our survey. But this particular question was one that received several questions. So first, let me say that this model was selected based on a few criteria. First, the state sent all districts in Kentucky a calculator based on that would give social distancing in classrooms based on square foot. How big each classroom is, how many chairs you can get in a classroom based on social distancing 6-foot guidelines. We asked all of our schools to take that calculator, go through their schools, each classroom, and tell us at the district how many kids they could hold in a school. I want to say a special thank you to all of our principals and their teams in the schools, all of our support operations staff for making that happen. So once we had the number of students that each school could hold in the classrooms, and yes, using other facilities such as gyms and cafeterias if needed, we got those numbers back from the schools. Then, as we said we were going to do, we conducted our survey. And roughly 70% of our families, told us that you wanted your students to be with us in person every day. And I wish we could accommodate every one of them. Unfortunately, in the majority of our schools, we could not accommodate 70% of our students. So we then had a conversation about the survey results on rotations. And I think about 60% of our respondents to the survey chose the short-term rotational model. We then had conversations with our team, with principals, about a final short-term rotational model and settled on the Monday, Wednesday, A group, Tuesday, Thursday, B group, every other Friday, they would rotate. So that is how we came about with the AB model, the rotational model that was decided. It was based on a lot of data and a lot of conversation. While we know it's not perfect, we can get the most students possible in our schools via the guidance document, while also getting all of our P3 students in school for those kids who families said they want them in in-person classes. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
In the synchronous model, will a student have the same teacher for a particular subject for both in-person classes and virtual?
So that is a decision being made at the local school based on a variety of things, their numbers, their needs. It is possible, based on how many students are participating in person, that schools could look at grouping students together and a teacher being just the in-person teacher, as well as just a teacher being the synchronous virtual teacher. It is possible that you would have the same teacher. So that really is a local decision being made at the schools based on the needs, the groups, and the numbers that they are dealing with at the school level.
Will families be on the same rotational schedule even if they're in different schools?
Yes, we are determining Team A and Team B, as we're calling it, based on the alphabet as well as households. So all of that will be factored in for families in terms of the alphabet and the households. Our team is completing that process today and should have that out to schools today. So schools will then know where the alphabet is split and what the teams are, so they can begin planning, determining schedules, groups, as well as communicating that to parents. And we know that Team A will be 2 days a week in person, and Team B will be 2 days a week in person with rotating Fridays. So a calendar would be published for all stakeholders to know what Friday their in-person Friday would be.
Explain how Synchronous Model will work in regards to screen time and attendance.
So I'll talk through attendance first with participation, and you can find documentation in our guidance document on page 13 about participation. We are asking that each child will log in every day if they're participating synchronously, and they will do that in a variety of ways. They will log in and they might have a bell ringer from their teacher. So participation is taken daily. It's through our Infinite Campus system, as we would take attendance if we're in person. And again, as we mentioned earlier with the synchronous model, we know that that's going to look different every day, just as instruction in person looks different every day, depending on where you are in the scope and sequence of your lesson. There are times where we're delivering instruction to a whole group, and everybody would be watching the teacher, whether they're in person or at home synchronously through the device. But we also know then after that whole group direct instruction, that there's a differentiated part to our lesson and that we're breaking off. And some students may be doing this task and other students may be working on this. So there will be procedures implemented with the teacher and the students for the teachers and the students to know, when do I need to get back on the screen? Certainly it's not a situation where teachers would be recording the lesson from 9 to 10 and the students would be on the screen from 9 to 10. They may be working on some things and then patch back into the screen. And again, that's going to just evolve and be fluid every day, as instruction in our buildings would be fluid like that every day. But the participation part, every student would be required to participate and log in, but we know that there are extenuating circumstances. We know if you choose the synchronous model at home, you might wake up one day and you're sick. And if you don't log in, schools would handle that the same way if they didn't show up in person. So we know that there's going to be potential technology issues, that I go to log in and something went wrong with my technology. We know that's going to happen. And all of those factors would be considered. We will work with families, teachers, and just cross those bridges when we get to them.
Some Kentucky school districts are offering children with an IEP 504 who have learning disabilities to attend on both the A and B schedule, essentially attending every day. Is this being offered or thought about?
We do have guidance to our schools right now that they should begin scheduling ARCs. I know many of them are already having ARC meetings with parents, with that committee, to look at the individualized needs of the students' plans to make those decisions if that is an in-person 5-day schedule or if they will continue on the AB. So schools are tackling that right now in conjunction with ARC committees.
Are you more concerned with safety or education of our children? Why was there no option to delay the school year? Why do we have to start in August and end in June?
So while education is extremely important, safety is our number one priority in Kenton County School District and always will be our number one priority. We continue to follow state and local health guidance and guidelines. And currently, as we sit here today, there are no indications that we can't start in-person school at the end of August. So that is our current plan. If that guidance changes, we will adjust accordingly.
Has anyone considered going back to the block scheduling model from the mid to late 90s, keeping kids together for the entire day with only 4 daily classes?
So yes, we've had a lot of conversations, as Paula explained earlier. In the guidance document, you can read quite a bit about the recommendations we are making to ensure we try to keep kids together as much as possible. For example, we're asking teachers to rotate if possible and kids not change classes. So there are lots of recommendations in there about minimizing class changes for students, and our schools have worked very hard, and you can find more information in our district guidance document and your local school's guidance document on how we're addressing making sure that our students are isolated as much as possible.
Can I change the model I chose?
So this is a question that we have gotten frequently. So I want to make sure I'm very clear about this. While we have asked for a commitment of which model you have decided upon, it is absolutely possible for you to change your model. We have asked principals to be as flexible as possible. And to be very frank, the in-person learning with the AB rotational model is going to provide a lot more opportunity for flexibility. So yes, you can change your model. All you need to do is contact your local school, talk with your local principal and or his or her designee, and you will be able to change your model as long as you have a valid reason.
Given the two options on the most recent survey for parents who work, is the district going to provide a place for the students to go on the days they have online learning?
As I stated earlier, we know, we empathize, we understand. And one of the major issues we have with the rotational model is childcare. And once again, I will reiterate that while we don't have any definitive answers about that at this time, we are currently reviewing options to provide perhaps a limited amount of assistance to our employees and our community. And much more information will be coming about that in the very near future.
Is there any chance that K through 3 will be moved into a rotational model to allow parents and children some type of normal schedule? This is going to be more of a hassle for working parents than having both children at home in school the same days.
So thank you for the question. Let me say first that we really embraced and have a belief that getting our P3 students in school and getting our students ingrained in utilizing the technology and all of the aspects of the technology was very important. Also, dealing with childcare issues, we understand the need for childcare for P3 students, but I think we all would agree every level of education is very important in the school system. But the P3 years are very, very important as well, and we have a commitment to try to get those P3 students in school. So if we were to be asked by the state to reduce our percentage of students attending school, then obviously this is one place we can look at. That could be a possibility. If that is reduced, we would notify you as soon as possible.
How will kids on the synchronous plan participate in band, chorus, and any classes that require hands-on activities such as science labs?
So obviously we know that in-person allows for those types of activities to perhaps be better utilized, but quite frankly, we see this being carried out the same way if you were in person. Via the use of technology, the synchronous model, what we're really striving for every day is daily check-ins with our students, tasks from our students, whether it's related to band or chorus or whether it's related to math or science, and that connection between teacher and peers. So, it really would look the same via the use of technology according to the schedule of the school of how band and chorus is looking in person. But it could be where there is some direct instruction to the class for chorus, and we patch back in with somebody who's at home to get whatever kind of product or work with them based on the scope and sequence of that lesson. So again, I would ask those school-specific questions of what band and chorus will look like in general, and that may be outlined already in some of our school guidance documents.
What are the plans for orientations? Will students who are using the synchronous model still be able to come meet their teacher in person?
Absolutely. Schools can and are still planning orientations, the back to school nights. Of course, we know that will look different because we do need to follow all guidelines as we're planning for those events, but we absolutely want all of our students in the buildings to meet their teachers, to have that orientation, that back to school night. So more information should be coming from your school if it has not already, but we absolutely want all of our students, regardless of what model, Team A, in-person, synchronous, to have the opportunity to meet the teacher, see the school, and do all of those normal back to school activities.
What platform will be used for the K through 5 virtual learning? I've heard it's between 3 platforms. When will the choice be made? Is it possible to pick between the 3 platforms which one we feel will be best for our kids.
So we do have platforms based on level, and that information is found on page 6 of our guidance document. We do actually name the program. Ingenuity is a program we've been using for years for our secondary students, grades 6 through 12. Acellus is the platform that we will be using for students K to 5, and we do have a preschool platform, ABC Mouse. And again, that information can be found in our guidance document with links to the site to learn a little bit more. It is no longer necessary to have an application to that virtual learning center. So again, now that schools know the selected model parents have chosen, information will be coming to parents very soon to give further information in terms of if I'm a virtual learning center student, what's next for me? What does that look like, sound like, as well as if I'm team A or team B.
How much deliberation was there really on this decision? If the survey only closed last night and the letter came out this morning, seems like a quick decision.
Yes, great question. First, let me say a special thank you to all of our respondents. We had approximately 14,000 responses, so thank you very much. And also, the responses came very quick. So we were monitoring data daily and having conversations daily about different options. I can assure everyone listening today that we have had numerous conversations about all of these topics, to include the rotational models, the AB, all of those things ongoing, and especially throughout the week of the survey. So we had one final very lengthy conversation Friday morning as the data did not change, and we rendered our position and sent it out via our public release.
If I don't have any poor internet connectivity, what can I do?
Yeah, we certainly understand that this is a concern for many folks. So this is addressed in the guidance document under page 12, under the use of school-owned technology. There is a bullet that states the district will assist staff and students with internet connectivity at home if needed to the maximum extent possible. Please contact the principal in the school or the administration, and they will be working with our technology director to provide a hotspot for those home locations. So please work with your school administration.
Will I be provided with a device?
So we would encourage anyone who needs a device, who does not have one at home, that needs access to a device at home, to please contact your local school. Each school will have a systemic approach to ensuring every student gets a device to the maximum extent possible.
Explain the one-to-one program and the fee.
So recently, our Board of Education, we recommended, our Board of Education adopted a one-to-one program for our students. Students in grades 1, 6, and 9, year 1, and teachers will all receive a technology device. There is a $50 fee per year for students in those grades who in the one-to-one program to help pay for their device. So let me say that when a student leaves grade 1 and goes to grade 2, that device will go with them. When a student leaves grade 2 and goes to grade 3, that device will go with them. So every year we will buy computers for grades 1, 6, and 9, and over time our entire district will be one-to-one. However, in our district we have a lot of devices. So after 2 years of this rotational model, we will be pretty much one-to-one all across our school district. Please know that if you have any issues with the fee, please contact your local school because there are ways we can assist.
Will Kenton County Schools be using classified substitutes this year?
Yes, we will continue to utilize classified substitutes for food service, support operations staff, as well as transportation.
How is it possible that all the elementary schools have the space for P through 3 to go full-time, but the middle and high schools don't have enough space for some students to go full-time?
Once again, a very good question. As I outlined earlier, the process we utilize to determine the capacity in our schools, the surveys that we receive back, and once again, thank you for that. We took all that information and we looked at each school and determined how many students we could get in each school and at each level. So while we could not get all P5 students in every school, we could get up to grade level 3 in all of our elementary schools. This will mean some maneuvering and of facilities and students in our schools, but our principal said they can all make this happen. So to make this happen, we obviously could not do 4th and 5th grade in all of our schools. So none of our schools, 100% of our schools could not get all grade levels in at any school. So I just want to make sure that we are clear about this. The only reason we can get P3 is because in all of our primary schools is because we took out grades 4 and 5 in an AB rotation. The rest of the schools did not have the capacity to do 100% of the school, 100% of the students.
Will the actual survey results be released? Specifically, how many people chose the 2-3 model over 3 weeks in, 1 week out? 3 weeks in, 1 week out would provide more consistency for the kids.
60% chose the 2-3 model in the survey. 40% chose the 3 weeks on and 1 week off.
Online teaching and in-person teaching are 2 separate jobs, especially knowing there will be more mental health needs. Why is Kenton County asking teachers to do both and not promoting the virtual academy for those students who are opting for synchronous learning?
Great question. As Ms. Harney outlined various aspects of the synchronous model, we know this is going to be different. We know this is going to be a different educational experience for our teachers and our students and our families. However, our staff and our families told us in the spring that we needed to improve our NTI process, and the synchronous model is one way for us to be able to do that, to make sure that we continue to provide high quality instruction for all of our kids, regardless of the model. While we know this is difficult, we know we have amazing teachers in Kenton County, and we know we have outstanding families, and we know together we can do this for our kids. We know it's going to be a growth process. We know that's going to take professional development, which Ms. Harney said is planned and will be provided. But once again, together we will make this happen for our kids.
How are larger families supposed to manage synchronous learning? I have 4 kids watching live streams all day while I am working online too. Why aren't the days they are not in school spent learning on their own?
So I would say that if you have specific needs with as far as resources or technology, please contact your local school, whether it's 1 student at home or 4 kids at home. And the model we have decided upon in our district is the AB rotational model. Parents have the option for synchronous learning, virtual learning, or in-person learning at this time.
How will privacy concerns be addressed with synchronous learning? I don't want my kids to be shown on the live stream when they are in the classroom.
There should be no video of any students in the classroom, only the staff.
If schools decide to begin with online learning for any reason, how much notice will we get?
So if our district at any time needs to go to long-term NTI closure, we will notify you as soon as possible. We understand the planning that needs to occur for staff and families, and we will make sure you get that information as soon as possible.
Questions about school supplies for this school year?
So school supplies, you will still be receiving from your school. If you have not already, what necessary supplies your child would need to bring to school, again, regardless if they're on the AB model, if they need some particular supplies through Synchronous. So that would be coming again from the local school.
If we are VLC, will MAP testing be done? Will there be K-Prep testing?
So again, we outlined the virtual learning center on page 6 of our guidance document. We have always administered the state test to students who have participated previously in our virtual learning center program. As far as our diagnostic tests, such as MAP or CERT, that is certainly something that schools can collaborate with families on to determine if that is needed for the child.
Have all those that picked the virtual learning center, not synchronized, been informed that they have to fill out an application? How long will it take to hear back on the application status and to be told what our students' curriculum will be?
So first, let me say that Ms. Harney outlined the curriculum software a few minutes ago for preschool, elementary, and secondary. And then let me say that I'll reiterate, she said earlier, there is no application for virtual learning. If that was your choice to place your child in virtual learning, your child will be placed in virtual learning, and schools will be reaching out to you in the very near future to give you more information as we move forward.
Why were parents that chose the virtual learning center and synchronous learning required to pick a hybrid model during the survey? Clearly, they should have been included in this decision.
So the survey we asked 3 questions, and ideally, yes, the parents who chose in person would be the ones to choose the optional models if we could not go full-time in person. If virtual learning full-time or synchronous learning full-time participated in that was your choice. Regret any confusion on those particular survey items.
When your child logs in for lessons, is the teacher able to see the child? My child wouldn't do Google Meets due to her anxiety.
So I think Ms. Harney shared this earlier, but I'll just reiterate it again. There are times when the teacher will be able to see the kids and desire to see the students. There are times when that will not occur. And any parent or guardian that has a student who has anxiety or any other issue with online activities, I'd encourage you to contact the local school and have those discussions about modifications you might be able to put in place to assist.
Will Google Classroom be able to handle so many students logged in at once? We're concerned about connection problems due to too much traffic on the site.
Members of our district administration team raised the same concern, and we shared our entire instructional delivery model with the members of the Department of Education, the Department of Technology, and we shared all of how we intend to use technology in our program moving forward. And they assured us that we have the capacity to handle what we're attempting to do.
What resources, food, and similar resources will be provided to the children and families who are participating in the at-home learning models?
The food service department is working with the school level administration teams. Yes, we will continue to provide food for families that are working from home, and a meal pickup process will be established at the school level. So please check in with the school administration as these plans will be developed.
And as far as any other resources that would come from the school supply list that schools will be communicating, and obviously if there are resources that you are in need of, such as what we've mentioned earlier with technology or connectivity, there is guidance in our document for you to reach out and share that with your school.
How early will students be able to be dropped off before school starts, if allowed at all? Will they go to the gym, cafeteria, or their classroom?
So currently there's no change in our past practice of when we can drop off students over the last few years. Please refer to your local school's guidance document for early entrance into the school building. They are asked to have a specific plan on ensuring social distancing and keeping students in grade level cohorts upon entering the school.
What happens when we do not have enough substitutes in a building and cannot combine classes to teach the students?
It's a great question. We know that sometimes substitutes can be an issue. I'm happy to report today we have a strong pool of substitutes here in Kenton County. And one of the advantages of the AB model is our classes should be small. And if we do have a situation like that, we should be able to handle that at the local school level.
How will the 6 feet social distance be maintained on the school bus?
So current guidance from state health officials is that as long as temperatures are checked before students get on the bus by the parents and students are wearing a mask at all times, that social distancing is not required on the school bus, but they have to keep those masks on at all times.
Was student capacity determined by the total school square footage or by the square footage that can actually be used for student classrooms? Students won't take class in the cafeteria kitchen, so why is that area counted in the total?
The only capacity utilized was the classrooms or any space that a school might attempt to utilize to get more kids into the building. such as a gymnasium or an auxiliary gymnasium, an auditorium. So the schools, once again, our school leadership teams took the calculator from KDE, took the information from our support operations team, and went through our buildings and literally measured how many seats we could get in every classroom. So please know that due diligence went into the determination of capacity for all of our kids.
I may have missed, but can you give us a rundown of what a typical day will look like for an elementary student? Will they still have specials, gym, library, recess?
So school-specific schedules, some are already outlined in their guidance documents, and I know they are, continuing to develop schedules now that we have a rotational model. But yes, as far as the specials, gym, library, art, I believe many of our elementaries have a plan for that teacher to rotate to the classroom to deliver that type of instruction. So students would still be receiving those special classes. Recess, we do speak to recess and the usage of our playgrounds on page 28. And we do know that if students can maintain 6 feet of distance, that masks would not be required, very similar to in our classrooms. But obviously, if they are within 6 feet, we would have to have masks being used for playgrounds. Obviously, we have a cleaning protocol around our playground equipment. But the actual, when would that fall in the schedule would be a school decision, and you would be getting that from the schedule.
With P3 going Monday through Friday, will parents be given an estimated number of students physically in the classroom prior to the start of school?
So once again, all schools have determined capacity in every classroom in their building. That is not something we have intentions on reporting to everybody in the district. But you're welcome to contact your local school. They should be able to provide you with that information.
Whether through an instructional video or in person, will there be an opportunity for kindergarten students and their parents to see how a typical day will unfold?
So yes, our team, Jess and her team, is currently working on a video for how school may look different for our young kids and all kids as we move forward. That video should be released in the near future. Please watch for that.
With Indiana already back in school, will you be using their data to make an informed decision about an in-person learning, or will you follow our governor's recommendation no matter what?
So my response to that question is simply we will follow the guidance of the state and local health public officials.
Will there still be extracurricular activities other than sports, such as drama club, mock trial, art club, etc.? If so, how will that work?
We do outline that on page 31 of our guidance document. And obviously, schools would be making decisions on what opportunities they're offering for students in terms of extracurriculars. Just as our athletic groups are right now, they would put together a plan, and they would share that plan in terms of what is the interest of participation. We might have to be creative and have our art club somewhere else if the art space that we typically use can't hold the number wanting to participate. So essentially, they develop a plan. We share that here. We make sure we're covering all aspects of our guidance. But schools are definitely still encouraged to have extracurricular activities. And we have just asked that they hold the first week or two so that we have an opportunity to really teach procedures to students and that they understand that. And then obviously have an opportunity to advertise what extracurriculars are we offering, generate interest, because we know that will look different than what it has in the past.
And if I could just add that real quick, just remind everyone that our district does have a commitment and a goal around student engagement and co and extracurricular activities. So this is definitively one that we will try to make sure we have for our kids as long as we can do so following guidance.
Is before school care going to be available? Example out of that.
Yes, we will have before school care. We encourage you to contact your local schools like you always do to see what is available and get more information about those programs.
What will Ignite's schedule look like?
So, we try to have a congruent schedule with Boone County. However, it's important to note that Ignite is a regional school. There are now students going to Ignite from 3 districts that I'm sure of, and perhaps 1 or 2 more this year. So students at Ignite will follow a different rotational model, and that's the current situation that we have.
Will schools be provided the necessary materials for a live feed? For example, microphones for clear sound, webcams, etc.
Yes, we think this question is, will we make sure that all of our staff have the necessary equipment to do synchronous learning? And the answer is yes. We are committed to doing that. We surveyed our schools a couple of weeks ago about the access to equipment to do synchronous learning. We will make sure that we provide our staff access to that equipment to make sure they have an opportunity to be successful.
Will all electives be available to high schoolers? If not, have they started working on revised graduation requirements?
Yes, those electives would still be available. Again, that would be coming through the school schedule that you'll receive soon from your school, but we are not revising any graduation requirements. Obviously, that comes from the state level. So those electives and that schedule will be available, and you will get information soon from your school around that.
Will the success of these models be measured by school or across the district? When and how will this be evaluated given the various models?
It's a great question. Everything we do, we always try to monitor and make sure that it's being effective and efficient and successful. We will monitor models when school starts, and if we find something not working, we will adjust. As we've said numerous times, and I will say again today, everything is very fluid, and we all have to remain very flexible. If we see something we can do to make it better for our kids and our families and our staff, we will definitely do so.
If at any point the district is forced to go entirely remote again, have any district-wide standards been set concerning the amount of time within which teachers must respond to email?
So once again, another very good question. If we were asked to go to all in-person online learning, it would be our goal to go. It's already in our guidance document. We would simply switch to NTI, long-term closures, and we'd move to the synchronous model full-time, which would mean normal school day for all students across the district, with also understanding all of the information Ms. Harney shared earlier about screen time and students not being on the screen 6 hours a day.
What were the demographics of the reentry committee? For example, how many teachers, including representative grade levels, administrators, parents?
So good question. We had 3 principals, 3 students, 3 teachers, 2 KCEA reps, 1 board member, and 3 local health officials on our reentry guidance advisory committee. And we did have parents from 1 parent from each attendance area.
My children typically strive for perfect attendance. How will possibly having to miss school because of COVID affect that?
So let me say to all of our kids out there and all of our families who strive for perfect attendance, thank you very much. We all know that attendance, not only in school, but later on in life, is a huge factor in success, whether it's post-secondary education or in the workforce. So we would simply say, as long as you're participating, whether it's at home or at school, that attendance record will continue as is. You will not be counted absent. Obviously, if you can't participate because you're sick, that would be counted as an absent.
Last question. If it's not safe to have an in-person town hall, how is it safe for kids to go back to school?
It's a very good question. As I look on the screen here, we have over 600 people viewing this live tonight. As you might imagine, in the current environment we're in, we had no idea how many people may show up for a town hall. We didn't know what resources we may need, what facility we may need. And since everybody has grown accustomed to using online or virtual platforms, we decided for the current environment and also the ease of technology and not knowing how many would show up and where we might have to try to have an event like this, we decided to have it online. So we want to thank you for all of the wonderful questions. We hope that and trust that we have answered the questions that you have submitted. Once again, if your question was not asked specifically, we did group like questions together. And we thank you again for submitting those questions. So just a few closing comments. To all of our Team Kenton family, and that's everyone in our school district, students, staff, families, community members, all stakeholders, we know this is difficult times. We know this is not going to be easy. We know this is going to be challenging. But Team Kenton is strong. We've shown we're resilient and we will continue to be resilient because our kids are relying on us. So I would just encourage all of us tonight. So please continue to focus on helping each other, supporting each other, and we appreciate once again your patience and support. We look forward to having the very best 2021 school year we can have. We will continue to monitor all guidance and keep you updated. Thank you. And once again, Team Kenton is strong, and we will get through this together.